Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's dive into a situation where one neighbor's taste in flowers sparks an unexpected response. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Neighbor is a Karen. 2 years ago, I had a rather unique exchange with my neighbor who we'll just call Karen. It all started when one of my yellow flowered plants in the front yard bit the dust. I was outside removing the wilted plant when Karen saw her opportunity to give me her friendly input. Karen: I see you're taking out that plant there, the one with the yellow flowers? Me: Yep. Karen, looking over at the remaining yellow plants: So you're gonna take out those other ones too? Me: No. Karen: But why? Me: Because those are still healthy. There's nothing wrong with them. Karen: You should take them out too. Me: Why would I do that? Karen: Don't you want something with purple flowers? I just love purple. Me: No. These are just fine. Why would I replace a plant I don't want to get rid of? Karen: Because I don't like yellow. Me: What? Karen: I don't like the color yellow. You need to take out those bushes and plant something in a different color. Me: Okay. I'll have to think about that, but I'm pretty sure I'm not going to do that. Karen, cue the classic cat butt face. Me: Hope you have a great day. Karen huffs and returns inside. This was 2 years ago, and I thought that'd be the end of it, but then came the perfect revenge idea. Earlier this year, late winter, I started doing some research. I stumbled upon 2 varieties of sunflowers that grow up to 12 feet tall with massive 18-inch wide flower heads. My yard's already sunny, so why not lean into that theme? These sunflowers were going to be perfect. Not only would they look glorious in my backyard, but they'd also add the perfect touch of petty revenge for Karen's unsolicited plant critique. I planted the seeds in a raised bed, gave them lots of love, fed them, watered them, and watched them grow. Fast forward to today, one of the tallest stalks is already shot up past the roofline of my house. These things are giants. And guess what? The first one bloomed this morning. Bright yellow. They're tall enough that when Karen glances out of her second-story windows, the ones that conveniently overlook my yard, where she's commented multiple times that she likes to look down at us, she'll be greeted by a giant yellow sunflower smiling right at her. It's as if the flowers are waving at her, reminding her every day of how much she dislikes yellow. But this time, I don't have to hear about it. She just has to see it. Every single day. Now I get an immense amount of satisfaction knowing that Karen's getting a daily dose of yellow whether she likes it or not. The flowers are so tall, they practically scream, "Hello, Karen, yellow forever." Great revenge story, OP. Also, why is she watching you from her window? What a creep. And our second story. Ma'am, it's not my fault that you lost your receipt. For context, I work at a video game store, and there are moments where we can't do returns on certain items, like if a game system gets accidentally damaged, or if you opened a new game copy and didn't like the game. Sorry, we can't do the return for the said items. In short, we the employees are just doing what our bosses are telling us to do. But this right here took the absolute cake for me. A couple of weeks back, I was working my usual opening shift. About 2 to 3 hours in, everything was running smoothly and calmly until a woman with, assuming, husband and 2 kids, both boy and girl. I do my usual greetings, and before I could ask how their day is or anything, the woman cut me off, demanding I do a full refund on a video game she bought. The game was still sealed and everything, but she didn't have a receipt. She did not pay with a card, and she did not have an account with us. She then went on a tangent about how she knows the owner and that they did it a few times for her and everything, and she's been shopping at our stores for years. Funny, because I've never seen this woman nor her husband and kids in all my years of working here. And this is a corporate retail chain? Like, ma'am, what do you want me to do? I cannot process this return without any form of verification, hence the receipt or the account she doesn't freaking have. She was basically not taking no for an answer, and OFC, her husband, tried to intimidate me with a child in his arms. Really? I'm sorry, I'm not one to judge, but if I was his kid, I'd be very embarrassed. She was still pissed, and she went about browsing the store. I left it as it is, and if they steal anything out of spite too, that's fine. Whatever, her son ended up picking up a game copy and was very nice and apologized for his parents' behavior. I went ahead ringing him up and telling him he's all right and for him to have a good and better day. As he was about to walk out, she saw that he had no bag to carry his game out because we actually ran out and all we had was $5 tote bags. She marched right back in and demanded I give her a free tote bag because of the inconvenience I gave her for not doing the return. Ma'am, I hope that kid's okay, and he deserves better. Edit. I forgot to mention that holiday returns were officially over. It ended back on January 15th, and OFC. This woman tried to do a return on February 10th, and even if the game was stole or bought from another retail store is not my concern. I just do what my bosses tell me. And I will say this too, I don't get paid enough to care. Probably lying about losing the receipt, but you never know. Some people are just so clueless and disorganized that it amazes me. And our next story. Ungrateful homeless dude. While waiting in my car to pick my husband up from work with our almost 2-year-old son in the back, a random guy waved at me for my attention from the sidewalk. I rolled down my passenger side window, the one nearest him, and he immediately started thanking me profusely for acknowledging him. Okay, got a feeling where this is going. So I'll preface by saying that if anyone begs me for money, I have a personal policy that I will never give cash. I've been conned one too many times, but I will always give out water and or snacks. With a toddler, I usually have those on hand. He gives me one of the many creative stories I've heard over and over. We have quite a few beggars in our small town. This time, it's that his grandchildren are starving and he needs some food for them. He seemed surprised when I immediately said, okay, here you go, and handed him 2 granola bars. These are the overpriced toddler superfood granolas too. I try to get the good stuff for my son. The man shakes his head and says no, that he wants to get his grandchildren some bologna and cheese, and if he can have money to buy them food, they won't starve. I told him all I have are these granolas and hand them to him out the window. He asks again for money, and I say, I don't have cash on me, but these will keep them fed until you can get them some bologna. I wish him well and say that I hope this will do for now. The beggar man looks me dead in the eye and says, no, it won't. Then he turns around and takes the granolas with him. Whatever, I tried. My husband gets in the car and we leave. As I rounded the corner, the beggar man is walking up to a crosswalk as we approach a light. He doesn't see us. I watched him toss the granolas as high as he can into the air and keep walking up to the light. He seemed really annoyed. I was too. I couldn't believe not just how ungrateful, but the audacity to waste good food and litter. So I pulled my car over to the parking lot at the light and got out. He saw me. The granolas were right in between both of us, and he turned right around to snatch them up. I walked up. I am not confrontational by nature, super mad. He said some bullcrap about being so happy that he threw them in the air to catch them. Bullcrap. I just watched you. You tossed them and walked away. Those were for my baby, and I will take them back if you don't want them. He said it's fine, he'll eat them, and proceeded to open one and take a bite. So I just asked flatly, what about your grandchildren? He turned and walked away. That's nice of you to try. Be the person you've been and don't let some salty butt change your mind. And our last story. The farmer said our backyard doesn't really belong to us. We bought our house a year ago in a peaceful suburban neighborhood in Pennsylvania. The area was developed around 30 years ago, and the original farmhouse located behind our property sold off much of the surrounding land, which now makes up our neighborhood. The property line between us and the farmhouse is marked by trees, and everything seemed perfect when we moved in, at least until a few days ago. I was in my backyard when I noticed 2 men examining the grassy strip between my house and my neighbor's. One of them came over and introduced himself as the future owner of the farmhouse behind us. Then he dropped the bombshell. There's an easement running alongside my property, and he's planning to pave a long driveway right where the easement is. This driveway would run from the public road in front of our homes, between mine and my neighbor's house, and snake all the way back 300 yards to his secluded farmhouse. You can imagine my shock. Not only had we never heard of this easement, but it also wasn't mentioned in our deed when we purchased the property. There was no word from the sellers, the real estate agent, or even the title company, so now we're scrambling to get answers from everyone involved in the purchase of our home, trying to figure out how this wasn't disclosed. After speaking with some of the older neighbors, they swore up and down that any easement had been forfeited or altered after our house was built in 1982, but without hard proof, I wasn't satisfied. I started spending hours at the county and township offices combing through records, trying to piece together the history of our property. I felt like I was in a real-life version of the Da Vinci Code, trying to decode cryptic legal jargon and maps. Eventually, I stumbled upon some old documents, maps, and deeds from 1977 and 1981. Sure enough, they showed a proposed easement for ingress, egress, and utility along our property line. To make matters worse, the future farmhouse owner left the same documents in our mailbox as if to say, "It's happening, deal with it." While there's no explicit mention of a driveway in these documents, I've been told that the terms ingress and egress imply that a driveway could be constructed there. I'm frustrated to say the least. It feels like no one involved in the sale of our home mentioned this easement, and now we're left trying to figure out what legal rights we have to stop or modify this planned driveway. I've started reaching out to real estate attorneys to see if we can contest this or, at the very least, negotiate some sort of compromise. Update. After weeks of consultations and back-and-forth legal battles, we finally took this to court. With the help of an experienced real estate attorney, we were able to uncover additional documents that revealed an important clause. Any alterations or use of the easement required the written consent of the current homeowners before any major changes could be made. When this bombshell dropped, the future farmhouse owner had no choice but to back down. The judge ruled in our favor, stating that while the easement exists, it doesn't grant the right to build a permanent structure like a driveway without our approval. The driveway plan was scrapped, and we walked out of court with a renewed sense of relief. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.